Hello Earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Welcome to your tarot reading. There will be 3 individual readings. Look for the timestamps below to hop right to yours. Please come into these readings with an open heart and an open mind, a desire to learn something or better yourself. If the messages that come through don't resonate for you, that's fine. Feel free to push them aside. You may want to revisit them at a later date. Let's set the intention to get you some fun, helpful, insightful messages this time around. We're going to start with Taurus, okay? So for my Tauruses, what does Taurus need to know in their love life or anything else that wants to come through? I'm reading for love this time, so. All right, so some sort of culmination in a relationship where there's maybe a lot of flirtation or passion. It could be that you feel like you've achieved something in your personal life, or you've relieved yourself of some sort of responsibility or some sort of event in your life that was taking up a majority of your time. It could be something to do with school, some work responsibility, a family commitment. It seems like you're able to make more time for dating, and I actually think that there's a really good compatibility thing going on here with the Two of Cups and the Knight of Wands, something that you're actually excited to pursue and something you're excited to put effort into. Maybe a little bit of risk taking or a little bit of bravery to put yourself out there, put yourself on the line and approach someone who you do have feelings for. This seems like someone, I don't know why I'm getting this, but there's like a familiarity to them. I don't know if they remind you of someone you know, or, I hate to say this, but they may look like someone you used to date. It doesn't have to be that, but I always get the idea that this is someone who's already kind of in your circle. It might not be someone who's brand new. You may know them from some connection from your past, but it seems like the first time that you guys have sort of engaged in something a little bit more romantic. There could be something very specific about their hair that you're attracted to, or I don't know, some sort of storyline with like the hair. Maybe it's a Leo, I don't know. Tell me more. So the Three of Wands. So the Three of Wands is typically the card of like waiting for your ships to come in. I think some of you, it's like you sort of had to amp yourself up to get ready to approach someone. And so what I'm getting at is, rather than waiting for something to be dropped in your lap or waiting for something to come to you, with the Knight of Wands, I actually seeing you making the first stride to like make yourself known. Even if it's not asking someone out, it's sort of making the first move in like a subtle way, or introducing yourself, or, giving them a compliment, when you walk down the hall of the workplace or whatever it is. It's like, it's not like a restless, let's speed things up, but I do sort of get this, like, I'm kind of sick of waiting. Like, I'm not into the waiting game anymore. Like, I have nothing to lose. So with the Knight of Wands, and kind of tapered with the Taurian energy coming through, it's like you're willing to roll the dice a little bit and put yourself out there. I really like that. I think the waiting game is up. I think the waiting had to do with, again, freeing yourself from personal responsibility that you seem to have exited out of, or with the world, it's like you completed it. You wrote the term paper, you did the presentation, you finally got your kid into daycare, whatever it is, those things that were kind of slowing down the process of you being more social in any capacity. Now it's like, okay, we've achieved that. There's some sort of satisfaction and something I guess you could argue something you've learned along the way, but it's a graduation of sorts. There's an achieving glorious moment here. So making room for bigger and better things. I like that. Could also be with an air sign, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. And then you have the Hermit. Interesting. So I feel like there's a shyness to this energy with the Hermit. It's like he's got his candle, but he's protecting it, possibly against fire. You may have had I sort of felt the word tumultuous, but it may be to a certain degree. You may have had an experience with a fire sign that left you feeling a little bit guarded or a little bit self-conscious. I almost get the idea that you had a fire sign who said something to you, and maybe this is a parental figure, maybe it's a child. It doesn't have to be an ex per se, but I'm just getting the idea of a fire sign who said something very blunt and very sort of harsh, and it kind of stuck with you. And so as you get back out into the dating world, it's something you're carrying along in your head and kind of replaying of like, gosh, well, am I like that? Do I do this? And so, yeah, with that, it's like you're a little bit hesitant to kind of let your truest self show. But to that, I immediately want to sort of contradict that and say the right person is going to love you, for everything, right? For your faults and all, right? So I don't think there should be this sort of inner critic that you of yourself, right? Of where you need to edit yourself or hide the truest part of your personality or not let your full light shine. I feel like, understandably so, it's interesting. Your energy goes in from like, okay, I'm going all in, this is going to be great, and then it kind of transitions to, all right, well, maybe I'm coming on too strong, maybe I need to pull my energy back a little bit. So it's kind of interesting. But yeah, I would say you don't need to worry about being guarded, because I don't know, so far the Two of Cups looks nice to me. I think this might be something that starts off as a stronger friendship and just like meeting up socially, hanging out a little bit before it maybe turns romantic. There's quite literally a turtle in the corner there, so that may be symbolic to some of you. I don't know if that's your spirit animal or like a nickname or something. But yeah, it's like slow and steady. Which is such a great like Taurian word, right? I see that sort of being a sort of like the guiding compass for how this relationship maybe goes. It could also be that you're dealing with a person who's tremendously shy, so you may have to sort of nudge this person a little bit in order to get more of their personality to shine. This person may be kind of intimidated by you, and so I don't think it's that they're trying to be guarded. I think they're just sort of a little bit taken back. I don't know if it's by your forwardness or just you caught them by surprise, but I wouldn't write it off as something like they're not interested. I think they are, but like it takes time for them to like warm up to you, quite literally like the small flame of the candle. It's not like this blazing knight of wands, right? It's like this little flame that I think we have to stoke it, right? It's going to burn over time. So could also involve a Virgo potentially. Tell me about a Virgo. A Tower, something unexpected good luck with a Virgo. The Tower with the Wheel of Fortune. The Tower can be a lot of different things, but if it comes out with the Wheel of Fortune, it's usually shock and unexpected and sort of breaking down of our defenses. I would say that. So this may be how your Virgo reacts to you coming into their life, or really anybody for that matter. But I did specifically ask about the Virgo, a fellow earth sign. I know some of you are swooning over your Virgo person, right? I do like the Wheel of Fortune, especially with like the blindfolded animal here. It's like they don't see it coming, or maybe you don't. I mean, keep in mind there's two energies here, so this could all go in reverse. Maybe someone approaches you and it takes you by surprise. But honestly, Taurus, I sort of get you being more the instigator or the aggressor, or however you want to say it. Yeah, I like it with the Virgo. What else about this person, no matter what the sign, the one that Taurus might be interested in? Tell me a little bit more. 10 of Cups, stop it. Happily ever after. At bare minimum, someone who leaves a lasting impression on you in terms of like making the history books of like a good friendship, or like maybe it's someone you date, maybe it's not your forever person, maybe some of you aren't looking for that. But I will say like it feels like something that's very cozy. There's a lot of contentment in this connection, and it's something that could potentially last through the years. It's like someone you would attribute to being like a lifelong friend, if not more. This could also be the idea of you welcoming them into your family and vice versa. Maybe there's opportunities to like introduce them to your friends, introduce them to your people. I love that. 10 of Cups. There's a lot of moons here. So we mentioned water signs earlier, something with a Pisces or a Cancer, perhaps. A lot of women. So it could be someone comes from a family with a lot of sisters or a lot of aunts, or I don't know, something about powerful women in your life or in their life. It could be a same-sex couple, right? It could be something like that. And then the Four of Swords. I love that. There's something very peaceful, and is placid the right word? You can relax easy next to this person. It feels like there's safety and comfort and familiarity there. It's not a relationship that's going to keep you worried or questioning your self-worth, or keep you in a spot where you're just guessing or I'm just getting the idea of like nagging, something that like nags at you, or something that it's irritable, it's uncomfortable. That's not this relationship. I think it's possible some of you are still healing from something, but it's funny. I almost sense that some of you may be a little bit, I'm just getting this idea that after getting out of a relationship, it's like, I'm going to sit this one out for a bit. Like, I'm ready to take a break. I got a lot of responsibilities, but I don't know. Then it's almost like you kind of do a 180, or something just kind of catches you off guard. It's like being at the right place at the right time, that all of a sudden you're like, you know what, I'm going to roll up my sleeves and do this thing or introduce myself. And it actually leads to something really beautiful. So where you're able to, Taurus, especially in your love life or friendships and any type of connection you're trying to make, maybe it's a business connection, right? I don't think that's true for most of you here, but be willing to roll the dice a little bit. Take small calculated risks, right? Because I actually think it could end up being something really, really beautiful. Taurus, this reading is amazing. I love it. I love it. Are you seeing this? So good. All right. Let's move on to Virgo. We'll see if Virgo shows up in yours. Or if Taurus shows up in Virgo's, rather. All right. Oops. Ugh. All right, Virgo. What does my Virgo gang need to know? What's up, Virgo? Let's talk about your love life. Let's see what's coming in for Virgo. Who loves you, baby? For Virgo. Oh, you got a handful of cards here. All right, we'll do it. There's that Knight of Wands again. That's funny. That just came out in Taurus's reading. All right. So competition for someone's attention. It feels like you may be in competition for someone's attention, possibly an Aquarius or a Scorpio. I also sense that there's a trying to win someone's approval, but I don't necessarily think it's your significant other. It's almost like you're trying to please their parents. You could be having issues, arguments, fights, challenges, oppositions with parents or with family members currently, or this may have to do with the person in your life. I actually sense kind of like a heated discussion. Maybe this happened at Thanksgiving or something like that, right? Where someone maybe spoke their truth and it's rubbing the traditional people the wrong way because someone's decided to take the road less traveled or do something different with their life. Maybe they're dating someone new and the parents aren't necessarily on board with it. But there's something very freeing and kind of like a I don't really care what you think of me attitude. So I don't know if that's you, Virgo, or if that's someone you're involved in, but that energy is definitely coming through. And I actually think with the Strength card, it's saying that slowly over time, whoever is kind of doubting this romantic connection or again, this sort of this power play for freedom in terms of like, I'm breaking away from the crowd, I'm doing my own thing, I'm going after this person or that or this job, whatever. Slowly over time, the naysayers, they are going to see that, you know what, if that's what makes them happy, then more power to them. I have a feeling that this is you, Virgo. Especially, and not that every family is comprised of this, but I will say if you're dealing with a father and a mother who are a little bit judgmental, I think the father deep down is going to be actually quite happy for you, even though they don't let it show. I feel like there's more of a feminine energy that kind of is the power player and pulls the strings here. And so this person tends to kind of just agree and nod with them. But I don't know, underneath that sort of like fear of their judgment, I do sense that like they're smiling. They're a little bit relieved that like you're finding your footing and that you're willing to take risks that maybe they weren't willing to take or able to take, or you just have more self-confidence, more advantage, more leverage, whatever it is, that's going to work out. So it's kind of like that thing, like haters going to hate. I don't necessarily think they're haters, but I think you're dealing with people, and who knows, maybe this translates for you in your work. Maybe this is like your boss, whatever it is. There is eventually going to be this understanding of, oh, Virgo did what's right for them. Or again, maybe this translates for your person's family. There's sort of a, what do you want to call it? There's a term I'm dancing around. The dark horse, something that comes out of this that you don't necessarily see coming. And for a lot of you, it's a Leo or possibly a fire sign, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. There's kind of a lot of signs showing up, I'll be honest, so I'm not going to get too hell-bent on the signs, but I feel like there's a Leo that comes through for you that you weren't expecting or anticipating. So maybe that has to do with a family member who actually kind of, what is that expression? Like goes to war for you, someone who's actually going to vouch for you and stick up for you. Or maybe this is your person that you're fighting for. Maybe, or vice versa. Maybe a Leo comes out of the woodwork and ends up being like a really nice, compatible romantic partner for you. Just putting it out there. I see a very strong Leo card here. I'm going to say that. And with that, there may be tension with the mother that persists. I see that being a tricky aspect in the coming month, but again, that doesn't mean forever. But I think it ultimately comes down to the understanding that your paths are different. What this person is meant to accomplish and what you're meant to, and I mean, I am sort of getting family dynamics. I don't know why, I just am Virgo. What this person was meant to accomplish in their life is far different than what you are. In a sense, I'm almost getting like your life is just starting again because you have kind of this newfound empowerment and this kind of hope and wish and desire of what you want to do, where you want to go, what you want to achieve. For some of you, it may involve or require you to move at a distance from what you would call home or family or even tradition, distancing yourself from a traditional lifestyle. But this feels fantastic, so I would encourage you to go for that. So then you have the Seven of Cups. Yeah. Again, there's a lot of opinions. There's too many cooks in the kitchen regarding things that are really just your business and your responsibility. It's like your life. You may have a lot of siblings, or I don't know if it's a friends group. I'm not really getting that, but there's a lot of people around you offering unsolicited advice. And I think for a while you were trying to take that into consideration. You were kind of contemplating, well, are they right? Am I not seeing it? But I think this is like turning of a new page in your story, in your journey forward. I think you're putting less stock in what other people think and their opinions and moving towards something fresh and new and exciting. And I really like that. For some of you, there may be important decisions about money. And again, it has to come from your truth. And I see you actually having a tremendous amount of faith in the coming month. I mean, we are going through Sagittarius season, so that kind of makes sense. Sometimes it's like what makes sense on paper isn't necessarily what transpires. And so with this recent, I don't know if you want to call it like a spiritual awakening or transformation. Maybe that's too harsh of a word, but this sort of, again, newfound empowerment, we'll call it that. Whatever it is that's kind of, it's motivating you to move forward. A lot of you are leaning into, you know what, things are going to work out, for the better. Like I can't second guess everything. I can't question myself all the time. I can't be kind of stuck in this kind of critical survival mode all the time. Sometimes I just have to roll the dice and wing it. And what's interesting is Taurus had a similar message in terms of their relationship. So that does seem to be coming in for the earth signs, is kind of leaning into that kind of, like life is beautiful if we choose to see it that way, that like Sagittarian optimism. And I'm saying that because of the Knight of Wands. It's very Sagittarian energy. It's mutable fire. So, dispersing and spreading out our passions, our enthusiasm, chasing what lights our fire, essentially. So there could be, okay, it's funny. There's the Taurus card because Virgo showed up in Taurus's reading and I had said, I wonder if if Taurus will show up in Virgos. I hope I said that right. And there it is, the King of Pentacles. So very strong card no matter what sign it is, but I do typically associate the Kings with fixed energy. So you have some fixed Scorpio energy here. You have some fixed Taurus energy here. Someone who's very practical, someone who's very patient, somebody who sees things in the long term. And the way they're holding the coin, sometimes the King of Pentacles can be depicted as a little bit like, I didn't want to say greedy or holding back, but I almost get the opposite. It's like they have something really good to offer. They're just waiting for the right person to be like, oh, hey, here, let me help you. Or, let me reach out to you. Let me, so I think there's, let's say an earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, it could be a fellow Virgo, right? Who's got their eye on you and sort of like warming up to the idea of approaching you for some sort of romantic offer, but they might sense that you have people around you. Like it's almost like they're not certain that you're free. Or that you're single. I could put it that way, which for a lot of you, it seems like there might be some newfound independence. I don't know if you were tied into a relationship with a Scorpio that was really controlling or an Aquarius or something like that. When you choose to follow your heart and kind of go after what you want, it's funny. It's like that same kind of vibe and lighthearted energy and that attraction finds you back, if that makes sense. Possibly again in an earth sign. I'm really getting Taurus and Capricorn from this though, to be honest. Some of you may be moving homes, moving houses, moving apartments, apartment hunting. And yeah, there's like a slow to approach manner. Earth is the slowest moving energy. So even though you seem to be like rapid fire, moving ahead, making positive strides, romantically, someone is interested in you, but they may not put themselves on the line immediately. Or I don't know, it's something that it takes a few steps for this to kind of blossom into something more real, more secure, more steady, more defined, if you will. Anything else? The Seven of Pentacles. Yeah, it's like if you nurture this over time, it could grow into something really beautiful. I also get kind of the idea that you may be moving away from someone who was always interested in you and never made their feelings known. And so they may feel like this feels like a Hallmark Christmas movie, right? Like before you leave the country or leave the state or move on to that job, whatever it is you're doing, maybe it's a workplace romance or what could have been, someone may actually approach you because it's like they have nothing to lose. It's like, well, Virgo's leaving anyway, so I may as well tell them how I feel. And so it's something that I think you're compassionate and kind to them, but you already kind of have plans for the future. So it's almost like, maybe you spend a day together, you go on a couple dates, but then you kind of take that lasting memory with you. And it might be something you choose to revisit, but it's almost like you kind of got to see, like the seeds you're planting, you got to see where they grow. And then, where things take root, is essentially like where you're going to start to build from this. So what I mean by that is like, it's almost like you're leaving the door open to revisit this if that's what is in store for you. Again, that idea of fate and destiny, and if the universe wants it to be, we'll make it happen in some way. But it's almost like you have big things on the horizon. You have to go pursue this new chapter of freedom and independence. And I'm not saying it has to be freedom from dating, but maybe not being tied down or assigned to someone. Maybe it's taking a break from the idea of marriage or exclusivity or whatever it is. It's kind of, I don't know, I just sort of see you wanting to play the field a little bit and see what's out there before you tie yourself down to another person. But if you want to, I certainly think there's someone here who wants to make a very good offer to you, Virgo. And something about dogs or animals or I don't know if that has to do with a new career, or maybe you just got a new pet, or I don't know, something to do with animals. And it's a good message. I like it. All right. Last but not least, we're going to do a Capricorn. Give these a good shuffle. All right, Capricorn, what's up? How you doing? Let's shuffle these cards for you and we'll talk about your love life or anything else that wants to come through for Capricorn. Capricorn. Whoa, those just popped right out. 10 of Swords, 5 of Pentacles, Page of Swords, and the Lovers. Oh, God, Capricorn. All right, let's see what's up here. All right, so 10 of Swords, Sun in Gemini, the illumination of information that was maybe disheartening or disappointing, something that sort of went against your expectation. And yeah, sort of facing rejection, but I'm sort of getting that you're not necessarily facing it alone. It's like you approached someone about something and they were kind of vicious or mean or nasty to you. And so initially you may walk away feeling kind of offended or defeated or disheartened. I know this sounds sad, but we're getting there. Hang with me. But then it's almost like your wounds become your wisdom. It's like whatever you learned or gained from this experience, it's making you super mighty and powerful. Do you see how like her sword is like unusually large and big, right? That sounds like a sexual metaphor. I don't know. So, I mean, I'm reading this in terms of romantic relationships, but feel free to interpret this as you will if maybe it has to do with family or work or whatever. But I'm almost getting the idea of some sort of long-term commitment that ended in divorce or a long-term relationship where you just realized you guys were on different pages. And so I will say it may have to do with someone not being completely honest with you, or it may have to do with someone being a little bit hesitant to move forward with like building a family or doing like major milestone things together as a couple, because it's like they were half in, half out throughout the period of dating or marriage. It's like they always kind of kept the door open to have an escape route because there was something very serious about this commitment that they weren't necessarily ready for. But it's almost like it got too ahead of them before they were able to kind of pump the brakes and advocate like, hey, I'm not ready for this. Unfortunately, it's like you wish you had been privy to that information far sooner. And I think it's taking its toll because it's making you question your own intuition. You're like, oh man, like I really thought this was my person and I thought we were doing this together. That being said, when you do end up kind of severing ties or walking away from something, you do seem to have a very strong support system, especially in a friend, especially in a female friend. And I'm not saying that necessarily turns romantic. I'm just saying you don't have to suffer alone because you seem to have someone on your team that's very compassionate. Maybe it's your sister, maybe it's your mom, maybe it's your best friend, since there's some sort of compassionate female who's sort of going to help you get back on your feet. Maybe you move in with them for a few weeks if you have to look for a new place or whatever it is. But then there's kind of like this newfound empowerment. And I'm not sure exactly what bridges the gap here, because it goes from like very sad, very kind of, how could this have happened? My life is destroyed. That is false, though. I will say that. I'm not, like, your perception is that that's what's going on. But the Five of Pentacles says, like, you're right in the middle of this. This isn't like the finality of how this chapter of your life ends. Even if this person has exited, it's like the story, the narrative here is still kind of midway through. So the Page of Swords comes through, and then the Lovers comes through. And I do like this Lovers card. I said something similar to, I think, Virgo or Taurus. I don't remember. And maybe it has to do with one of those signs, but not necessarily. There's an element of surprise and mystery here where it's like the dark horse comes. I hope that's the right term. It's like something you weren't anticipating. The horse that wasn't winning the race the whole time, all of a sudden they bolt ahead and like they're in your sight and they're in your vision. So this could be that through a very supportive friend, they may introduce you to someone who ends up being a lifelong partner. Now, do keep in mind, I'm glossing over like a lot of in-between stuff because that's what the cards are sort of showing to me. I'm not saying this happens like immediately. Like you get out of a relationship, you meet the new love of your life and boom. That would be great, but that's probably not realistic. But I will say keep your head held high because there is some sort of connection that really, this ending, it really does have to do with fate and destiny and aligning to who you're supposed to be with in the long term, who's more in alignment with what you want and desire in a partner. I do want to say, when I'm recording this, we're going through the full moon in Gemini, and so there might be some sort of final culmination around this time within a few weeks that does kind of sort of set in stone what the future is going to look like, at least for the next couple months, right? Again, very likely some sort of ending. It might be with a Virgo. I don't really know, to be honest. Maybe Aquarius. I'm not getting tons of zodiac signs off this reading, so we'll just leave it as whoever it is. You'll know if it's your story, right? I'm curious about this Page of Swords, though. There's like a heavy truth that comes to light, but ultimately it sets you free and sets you down a path that you were really supposed to go down. So maybe for some of you, this is a career reading, right? Could be. It could be. Tell me a little bit more about this Page of Swords. And I think something about this I'm wanting to say, now you know what to fight for. And for a lot of you, it's for yourself. Now you understand that you do have to make it known, rather than catering to other people or being a yes person or being overly considerate of others' needs. If you're neglecting your own in the process, then I think there's like a heavy truth to be learned that like, you know what, like there needs to be more balance and equilibrium, and I need to be able to say what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, and not necessarily feel like I have to edit myself or hold back or fear of offending my person. The right person will accept me and understand me. I shouldn't have to change who I am to fit into the box of what they want, right? And maybe there's a more subtle degree of that in this reading, but I am sort of getting like very much with like the sword energy. It's like picking yourself back up, dusting yourself off and being like, you know what, this is probably for the better. I might not totally understand why this happened, but it's sort of, again, Sagittarian season, having that faith that there is a higher or a greater purpose for this event happening in my life. There is a reason for everything, and even if I don't understand it right now, I'm going to move forward and have faith that it's just aligning me to the right person. Yeah, absolutely. You're starting over again with like this newfound empowerment. And again, I'm not trying to gloss over and be like, everything's great and wonderful. There's a Five of Pentacles here, right? It's going to take some time. You're going to have to adapt to this new lifestyle, this maybe new independence. Though I will say you're not alone. It's like, I don't know, maybe you have someone that you friend zoned it and they immediately kind of swoop in to sort of be the shoulder you cry on. I don't see them being like trying to make moves on you during your grieving period. I think they're just legitimately like a good friend and they want to be there for you. And so you may sort of be blind to the fact that they're even interested. And I think over time, again, I'm not saying immediately, over time, you may start to see this person in a new life that they did kind of swoop in and quote unquote, like save the day a little bit. It's like they were the shoulder to cry on. They let you, whatever, move into their apartment for a bit. They, fill in the blank, whatever it is. They did some favors for you without sort of the expectation of receiving anything in return. And I don't know, for some of you, it's like feelings may develop there, or again, through that connection, there's some sort of like, oh my gosh, have you met my friend so-and-so? Like they're kind of doing this thing too, or they work in the same career you do, or whatever. I kind of like that card. The Magician is powerful, man. Like it's I just get this kind of, I can wallow in it and I can be sad and I can be depressed. And, sure, you can do that, but I would say give yourself a very strict timeline and then be like, you know what, this isn't serving me. So ultimately I have to go out and do something powerful with this energy and change it and transform this kind of sadness or heartbreak into something, like channel it into art, or channel it into something helpful or creative, or, go to the gym, like sweat it out, that kind of thing. So that you can recover from this and ultimately like move on with your life and do something very impactful. That is, it's almost like how the expression, like when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Like I'm sort of getting a similar vibe here. It's like, yes, we can wallow in it, or we can look at this as an opportunity to go off and do something different that maybe we wouldn't have done had we still been stuck in this partnership. Yeah, I do kind of get the impression that your person wasn't all in. And the idea of Six of Pentacles, maybe they were feeding multiple mouths, right? If you get my drift there. Maybe they were interested in other people. Maybe they were just flirting with other people. Maybe they just kind of laid it on you that, you know what, I don't want to have kids. Or you know what, I don't want to move in together. And you were just like, what? Like, we've been together for 5 years. What are you talking? Or, whatever it is. I don't see that coming back around in a positive way. I just have to be honest. I think this is about making strides forward towards the new. There could be a new Gemini or a new Virgo in your future, possibly Aquarius, or possibly a Scorpio. There's something very scorpionic about this magician. I don't know why. I'm just getting the idea of transformation, being able to take our emotions, our sorrows, our sadness, any emotions, right? And doing something good and palpable and real with it and transforming it into positive energy. So that it doesn't become this burden or this skeleton in our closet that we're not willing to address. It's almost like with this lightning bolt, we need to illuminate it. We need to look at the dark, scary stuff so that we're not afraid of it anymore. That, our wounds become our wisdom, it becomes another tool in our tool belt. Well, I dealt with this shitty situation, so if it happens again, well, it's going to be a breeze this time, right? And I'm not saying it will, but I think you kind of get my metaphor there. So let's see, new person, 4 of Cups. There could be someone in your life who is very spiritual, and you may sort of lean into spirituality, religion, a more kind of yogi lifestyle in order to cope with what you're going through. There might be like a more of an open opportunity to immerse yourself in more spiritual experiences. And again, like greater wisdom and understanding that like, there is a path for you. And at times we might not understand it, but again, having that faith that like, this is leading me to something good. Yeah. And there's that Scorpio card, right? Yeah. Don't be afraid to cut out or edit or, remove things that are holding you back, because you may not see them as that now, but I almost get in time you're going to realize like just how, to be honest, I heard the word miserable, but just how uncomfortable or challenging this relationship was, but it was what you were willing to accept at the time based on what you knew about yourself and what you knew about being in a relationship. So in a sense, this is like a huge game changer because it completely transforms the way you view yourself in a relationship. And honestly, what you're willing to tolerate, what you're willing to accept in a partnership, right? So there could be something new with a Cancerian, possibly. But I would caution you maybe with a Cancerian because they might still be healing from something. So I don't know if they're gung-ho to jump into a new relationship. But maybe that's good because it's almost like I'm getting the sense that that's probably your energy too. So maybe, again, like we were saying, this might be something that, I said this for all the earth signs so far. It's so funny. The messages are similar. This might be something that starts off as a really strong connection, turns into like a friendship, turns into like a weekly, hey, let's grab coffee and hang out. And maybe it becomes something romantic over time. I do very much get like wedding vows with this Lovers. So again, in the future, I'm just saying potentially you may be introduced to a new life partner while going through this major transition in your life, Capricorn. I'm tempted to look at the bottom of that. King of Wands. All right, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius energy, especially Leo energy. I don't know what to do with that because we haven't really had any fire. So it could be one of those signs on either side of the story, but I'm kind of getting to lean into your own fire, your own passions, your own desire, your own optimism, your own creativity, your own spiritedness. Kind of get your groove back. I think you're being asked to lean into the fire side of taking calculated risks, breathing new life into whatever story you're writing, this next chapter. Maybe some of you are literally doing like a writing project. That would be kind of funny just because of what came up here. But yeah, it's like leaning into that warmth and and realizing like you haven't been forgotten, you haven't been abandoned. It's like you have to let your light shine, and something about this relationship wasn't allowing you to live your life authentically. So that's what you're being asked to lean into in the coming months is being more true to who you are and what you want. You can't pour from an empty cup, right? You got to love yourself first. So all right, Cap, that's what I got for you. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you guys very soon for more tarot. Bye.